Thank you, Elton, and welcome everyone. Since tonight we have a smaller group, and I think I have met some of you in the group anyway, I'll probably start by asking you, and I'll call on you for the people who I haven't met yet, and perhaps we can spend a few seconds to get to know each other a little bit. And so I have on my screen here, Pushpa. I don't think we've met Pushpa. What club are you from, and how long have you been Toastmaster? I think you're on mute, Pushpa.
You're on mute, Pushpa.
There you go.
Okay, Jeet. No, I don't think we have met, but I belong to Pickering Powerhouse in Pickering.
Okay.
And I have been a member since 2000.
Okay. Very good. Well, nice to meet you, Pushpa, and I'm glad to have you.
Yeah, thank you, Jeet.
And Guang, I think I've seen you on a call, but I don't know if we've met. So would you mind introducing yourselves, please?
Hi, Jeet. I don't think we met physically, but definitely we met somewhere in District 60 meetings. Your face was so familiar.
Okay,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I joined Toastmasters from 2010. I got a break for 4.5 years. Now I'm the member of Advanced 60 speaker, and I'm the VP education there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very good. Well, great to have you. I'll skip Mary. Mary, you and I spoke recently, and I'll call on you a bit later to speak a little bit. So Beverly Grant, Beverly, I don't think we've met. If you're there, Beverly, would you mind coming off mute and introducing yourself? All right, we'll probably get back to Beverly. So John Andrews is the last person I have on this here. John, would you mind coming off mute and introducing yourself, please?
Certainly, I'm just eating right now, so I didn't want to subject you to that. So I've taken my camera off too. I think about half the people on this call I've met before. My name is John Andrews, Toastmaster since 2015, member of 2 clubs, Goodyear Toastmasters in Etobicoke and normally in Etobicoke, and keynote speakers normally downtown.
Okay, well, great to have you, John. Appreciate it. And all right, well, hopefully we get to Beverly at some point later in the meeting. Again, welcome everyone. And I'm happy that I sort of took the time to get to know you a little bit better. We are all Toastmasters, so my presentation will go a little bit quicker because we were hoping to get some non-Toastmasters as well, perhaps some teachers, parents, but that's not the case. So we don't have to sort of rehash some of the things that you would already be familiar with as a Toastmaster regarding, and the similarity between a Toastmasters meeting, a Toastmaster club, and the youth leadership program. Thank you for taking the time to join myself here to talk about this program. I will probably talk for about half an hour or so. We'll have some Q&A. Again, as Elton mentioned, come off mute and ask a question if you have one. If not, towards the end of the session, we'll hang around for a few minutes and answer any question you might have at that time. And with that, and so I expect that we'll be done well within an hour tonight. So with that, let's jump into this session. I'd like to start with one of my favorite quotes from Maya Angelou, respected author and thinker, poet, American. And, when you learn, teach. When you get, give. And as I think about my recent experience with the youth leadership program and Toastmasters in general, I think it's all about learning and teaching. And I've met so many Toastmasters. I haven't yet met a Toastmaster who has not wanted to learn or teach. And every time we go to our meeting, we attend a meeting, we take on a leadership role. We're always learning something new, and we're learning from each other, and we're helping each other. We're teaching each other something new. And what a way to grow and improve ourselves as we go on in life. And when I ran the youth leadership program for the first time recently, I thought that I'll simply be teaching communication and leadership to youths. It seems pretty straightforward. Little did I know that I was going to learn quite a bit myself about this particular demographic. I teach, as Elton mentioned earlier, I teach part-time. So I have a little bit of teaching experience, but this particular demographic, you need some specific skills. And we'll talk a little bit more about that a little later in the program. And so in terms of the state of affairs for the next half hour or so, we'll talk about 4 key things. We'll look to answer 4 key questions. What is the youth leadership program? Why conduct the youth leadership program? Who would benefit from it? And then lastly, how? So when we understand our why and understand the program, what do we do with all that? Perhaps we run a program ourselves. We'll talk about a few other things as well. We'll get into a little bit of the nuts and bolts of the program, just in case you're not familiar with it. And then insights from my experience, as well as other Marys and maybe perhaps some other experienced presenters of the program as well. And then we'll end with a Q&A. So here we go, the what question. It is a 8-week, if you're not familiar with it, very straightforward. It's an 8-week, 8-session program. The sessions are recommended to be 1 to 2 hours long. So very similar to a Toastmasters meeting. And we're all Toastmasters. So in what I would say, the simplest way to describe the youth leadership program is by thinking of a Toastmasters club for youths for 8 weeks. The meetings very much resemble Toastmasters meetings. The protocols are very similar. The workings, the way things work is a little bit different, and we'll get into that. So the targeted age is 12, 13 years old to about 17, 18. So think about high school kids. Again, as Toastmasters, the key skills that are practiced are communication and leadership skills. The youths get to evaluate their speaking ability. They present speeches, no surprise there. They engage in table topics, they engage in evaluation and other aspects of speaking, as you all know, vocal variety, controlling body language, those types of things. One very neat thing about delivering the youth leadership program is that as a Toastmaster, you get to give back. You get to give back to the community. You get to give back to, I think, a really, really important group of youths, are a very important demographic. And moving along in terms of answering the why question, so why youth leadership program? I think there is no time, there has been no more important time than now for this particular program, just because, when I think of my high school years, my teenage years was some of the best years of my life. And it's only because of friends and social interactions and so on. And my experiences at school. And many students miss out on that. They are missing out on that right now. And they yearn for that human and that social contact. And even though everything is being delivered through Zoom, and I understand some YLP programs are still being delivered in person, but mostly via Zoom, which is how I deliver my recent program as well. It introduces the youths to, again, the concepts of communication and leadership, and much more than that we'll talk about in a little bit. And this is really key, I think. Let the youths practice and learn in a stress-free and a comfortable environment. You know, at that age, if you remember your teenage years, and I have two teenagers at home here, so I'm reliving those years. It could be a tough time for teenagers, right? So providing a comfortable and a stress-free environment for them to try something new, to develop a new skill is extremely important. And of course, with all the transition that's going on through the teenage years, they need all the self-confidence they can get to do that. And the program provides a lot of self-confidence. And then, you know, Toastmasters get to spread the, I guess, the gospel of Toastmasters, right? So catch the young demographic, and hopefully they stick with Toastmasters for a long time. As I mentioned, the benefits to the Toastmaster who is delivering the program, if they need that credit, delivering the program is certainly creditable towards the DTM. Now, let's look at the answering the who question. So who benefits from this? And, you know, I probably gave you quite a bit of information on this already. So I would say any teenager, any teenager can always use more communication and leadership skills. And as I mentioned, online, especially online, they're missing that human contact. And I think just forming new friendships, forming those relationships, interacting with other youths is extremely important at this point in time. And again, that's a big part of this program. And any community group, right? So you think of church groups or any other community group where there's a group of kids, that's a great place to recruit students from to start this program. And I did talk about the Toastmasters benefits. Moving on to the question of how. So no, we know what the program is, why we should deliver it, and what are the benefits. So how, with all this information, how do we go about starting a new program? So first of all, and this is basically as simple as 1, 2, 3, right? It's identifying a group of students. In my situation, as in the role of chair of the YLP, I had sort of random parents emailing me saying, you know, I'd like to get my kids involved in this program, but they were few and far in between, and I didn't have enough youths to form a critical mass to get a program going. And then one day, one parent said to me that, you know, I think my son has a large group of friends, and perhaps he can bring about 10 of his friends to the program. Would you be interested? And I thought, that's fantastic. Let's see. And you know, his son brought his friends, and I was able to round up a few of my kids, my friends' kids, and with my own 2 kids at home, and we were able to get a good group going, and we started the project. So I guess the most important thing is to identify that group. I'm told that you know, at schools, it's the best place for the schools, has the most potential because that's where all the kids are. And this is a great program to supplement what they're learning in school already. And then the second step in getting this program underway is contacting us. So you have a group of youths who are ready to go. You contact us, myself, Anita, Elton, by any one of these methods, the links I'm providing here. And I'll be sharing the slide deck with you. And on the last slide of this presentation, I've listed all the links and resources that are relevant to this presentation. So you'll have those at your, you know, as convenience as well, and as reference. And so we will get you paired up with a Toastmaster who is willing to deliver the program. And then that Toastmaster will formalize the group, help the group decide when to meet, how to meet, provide the workbooks and so on. And then they get going. Then the program starts. There is a certificate that that the youths get at the end of the program, which is nice. The youths love to get recognition for their work, and so the certificate is a great recognition for that. And very importantly, there is no cost. There is no cost to this program. Traditionally, in a face-to-face setting, the Toastmaster, the club from which the Toastmaster belongs to would have to pay for the hard copy of the books. Now the books are in PDF, and Toastmaster International has decided that anyone can use the books free of charge. The books are the guide and the workbook is posted on our website, so feel free to check there and download them and use them as you wish. And by the way, the workbook, the participant workbook is writable. It's a writable PDF. And so that was made possible by Mr. Elton Brown. And what that means is that the participant does not need to download the PDF document and handwrite in it. You can just write on a writable PDF. And so it's perfect. It's extremely convenient for the participant. All right, so let's take a quick look at the nuts and bolts of the program. So as I mentioned, 8 sessions. The first session being, I mean, no surprise here, Introduction to Chairmanship. So really the first session is bringing the youths together, having perhaps some kind of a icebreaker activity, getting them to know each other and introducing them to the concept of chairmanship. And what that means is electing a leader, as we would elect a club president. They get to elect a leader and really a slate of officers, a slate of 4 officers to help lead the group for 4 weeks. So it's an 8-week program. They're supposed to theoretically elect 2 slates of officers for 4 weeks. So they elect during the first meeting, they elect 4 officers. And then on the 4th week, they elect another 4 officers to lead the group to the end of the program. This, in my experience, has worked extremely well. The kids were very, very diligent, and they basically took the program with a little bit of coaching from me as a coordinator and basically ran with it. So they were meeting 2-3 times during the week to plan for the next meeting in terms of planning the agenda, ensuring the rules are being filled, maintaining their membership list and all that. It was amazing to see how they, took the program and really ran with it. And really honing and developing some real good leadership skills, and as well as communication skills. So part of the first meeting is filling the roles for the next meeting, which is done at most club meetings as well. Session 2, this is where the participants get to start to present their speeches and their colleagues get to start to evaluate them. And again, with some coaching from the coordinator, you teach them how to, the key parts of a speech, what's most important, what's not that important, how to write a speech, how to come up with topics. I mean, I still struggle with that sometimes. And then evaluation, providing some tips as to how to provide evaluation for their peers. So again, it's just wonderful to see how they improve week after week. Session 3, table topics. My favorite part of Toastmasters, table topics, right? Think of a high school student who is preparing for an interview, right? Their first job interview. That could be a very nerve-wracking experience for many youths. And here, impromptu speaking is just that, preparing for to speak on a question that you may not be anticipating. So again, you know, as you can see, the theme here very similar to Toastmasters clubs meeting. Sessions 4, 5, 6, and 7, focusing in again on different aspects of speaking, right? Organization, listening, body language, vocal variety, those kinds of things. Nothing new there. As Toastmasters, we're all familiar with those. And in the youth leadership program, each week, even though each meeting looks and feels the same, their speeches, their evaluations, it's focused. Each session is focused on a specific speaking skill. Session 8, one of my favorite sessions in the entire program. So traditionally, when there used to be face-to-face, when there was a face-to-face program, the last meeting, the kids would bring their parents and parents would bring food and drinks, and it'll be like a big celebration. So I asked the youths that well, in COVID, you are not able to do that. So you guys come up with ideas as to how you can celebrate online. And they did just an amazing job. So they came up with a game they wanted to play, and the game is based on Kahoot. And if you're not familiar with the Kahoot tool, we can talk a little. We will actually talk a little bit more about that in a few minutes. But you know, I watched them run with this assignment of creating something of the session 8, and it was just amazing to see. So they created their own Kahoot, and by the way, they actually I had them create Kahoot every week, but this was a big one that was based on the entire program. They also came up with a video game that everyone seems to, in their age demographic, seems to play these days. It's called Among Us. If you interact with teenagers, I'm sure you've heard the name of that video game. It's kind of like Pac-Man, the Pac-Man of video games today. Everyone seems to be playing it in that demographic anyway. So they were playing that, and then as part of the session 8, they also had I had the president hand out the certificates as well. It was all done online. It was electronic certificates, but you can see the glee on their faces. You know, they were so happy to get their certificates in recognition of their 8 weeks of accomplishment. So that's pretty much about the a summary in some detail of the program or what it looks like. So I'm going to pause here and ask if there are any question or any comment. Okay, Guang, you have your hand up.
Yes, just to clarify that, what typically, I don't know, do we have a minimum number or maximum number of the participants, the youth numbers?
Well, I think the recommended number is somewhere, and someone else can correct me if I'm wrong, but the recommended number is somewhere between 15 and 20 participants. Am I correct? I see Mary nodding her head. So, and my number was 15. My group size was 15 youths, and I think that was the perfect number, because with a number like that, they all got to speak more or less twice. They got to evaluate twice, some of them more. So it's a perfect size for them to participate. And this program is really learning by doing, right? So anything bigger than that, it just becomes, you end up in a situation where they're probably vying to make speeches and do all that. And I don't think they get as much out of a program as, you know, a smaller group of about
how
14,
about the numbers
students.
less than 15?
Yeah.
If you get 12, it's still possible to run the program?
It's still possible. I don't think there are any hard and fast rules for the number of participants. 15, I would say, ideal, and you know, somewhere around that. If you have a little less or a little more, I think that's fine as well.
Second question about the age, 12 to 17. Is that our, I don't know, is it flexible? Is
So I see Mary had her hand up. Mary, do you want to answer that question?
Sure. I tend to keep the kids who are in grade 7 and 8 separate from kids who are in high school. And the reason why is the older kids like to do, how do I say, controversial speeches of issues that are now. And it may be a little bit sensitive to the younger ones. The younger ones like to talk about my favorite video game or whatever. So you have to make sure that you don't mix younger students with older students. So I keep mine separate at all times. I do grades 6, 7, and 8, and then I do grades 9 to whatever.
Okay. No, okay, that's a very good
Yeah.
point. No, question, if you get someone like age 11 or age 18, is that still possible?
You know, I had one student, the father came in and said his daughter is all parents think, I always think in the back of my head, all parents think their kids are geniuses, okay? But this girl was 10 years old, and she was a genius. And the older kids couldn't believe how she performed and how she did. They actually became, how do you say, she was their little sister. So here's a little girl who came into the group with her brother who was age 15, and she was able to produce and do the roles of a you know, how I say, a high school student. And when I found out later, I was commending to the father, and here's a 10-year-old girl who is a genius, is actually doing grade 9. That's how I found out. Like some parents come and say, my kid is highly intelligent and smart, and you get the kid and you think, where is the intelligence, you know? But this father was true. His daughter was a genius.
Okay, great.
So that's a great question, Guang, and
I have
great
one more
answer,
question.
Mary. Thanks.
Yeah.
Go for it. Yeah.
How many coordinators in one program?
Just one.
2, 1?
I would suggest, okay, because in the times of today, if it's only you, I would suggest you have somebody else with you, another adult. I never, ever email a student by my one-on-one. I always include another person in there. When I was working face-to-face in the library or in school, I always had a teacher that was assigned to me. I always copied the teacher on the email. And when the students emailed me privately, I blind copied the person. And the same thing with the library. Never, ever be caught doing something with a student alone in today's culture. And that's to protect you. And that's what I'm concerned about too, you know, because I've heard stories from other Toastmasters who did the YLP, what happened to them with a student. So I would always say, if you're going to do a youth program, and if it's in a school, always have a second adult. If they don't take part in it, you know, have them there and copy them in all the emails.
Okay.
That's what I call playing it safe. Okay.
Okay,
So,
great.
no,
Good
great.
point.
That's a great insight. I didn't think of that, but you know, going forward, I certainly would keep that in mind.
The reason why I'm saying this is because when I did the youth leadership program at the North York Library, about 6 years ago, I always get my police check every 4 or 5 years. They asked me, it's time for your police check. Even in the schools, I provide it for them and they pay me back the money. What happened was there was a person who was volunteering. He assaulted a child, a student, a young student, and it was reported. Everything was shut down. I was totally shocked by this, and everything was cleared up. But after that, I made sure I had a second adult with me at all times.
Great
So
point. Great point. Thank you.
some really good points. So does that answer your question, Guang?
Yes. Thanks.
Okay. So again, I guess no hard and fast rules in terms of, the numbers, in terms of the age groups, and you can be a bit creative with the different ages. I was lucky that in my group there was from 13 to 16, which is a fairly small range, and they were all in the same group, obviously, and it was fine. And so, but I guess that would be my takeaway in terms of the numbers and so on, and even the program itself. It's flexible. So if you feel like the participants are leaning towards more a specific activity, I would say do more of that. So staying within the realms of the program, and just go with what they're sort of leaning towards, and you make it suit the audience, right? So Mary, you started talking, and I have the slide up here from insights from experienced YLP coordinators. So I'll just have you continue talking, Mary, in terms of, and by the way, if you haven't met Mary Zotker before, she has been delivering the YLP program, as you probably have figured out by now, for a long time, 18 years, right? And so I would love to hear some of your additional insights, just in case someone on the call is interested in delivering this program in the near future.
Okay. As you know, I've been doing this for 18 years. And when I started with the famous book. And I was teaching the first time at Riverdale High School. The students were not interested in electing a chairperson and all that stuff. I took over the YLP from somebody else. They said they don't want to do that. They want to do something different. So I sat down and said, okay, this is what this book says. This is what you have to learn. You don't want to do an election. What do you want to do? So they told me what they wanted to do. So what I did is I stepped out of the box a little bit. I still use the book as my guide. I still teach everything that you're supposed to do in doing the program, like how to organize your speech, how to evaluate and everything. But I also incorporate interaction with the students at each level and how they interact with each other. And what I did is I created scripts for every role, and I even created extra roles. I always had a sergeant of arms that came into the group and would be the greeter. He would greet everyone, he or she, act as a host, and then when everyone was seated and available, he or she made sure they had all their agendas, all the papers, and then the Toastmaster provided the theme. He would do a toast to the Toastmaster. Everybody would hold up their cups of water, juice, or whatever, and we gave a toast to the Toastmaster, and then the Toastmaster took over. We had the all-counter, grammarian word of the day. I also introduced inspirational quote, joke master, quiz master, table topics master, timer, general evaluator, and also the mystery master. The mystery master provides us with a quiz at the end of the meeting to see how you can stomp people, get our thinking going. And also, I introduce what you call the speech introducer person. The students provide a bio of each of themselves, 3 or 4 sentences. This is John Andrews. He's a grade 11 student, and he is now currently the president of his club and also of the debate club. His favorite sport is basketball, and his favorite team is the Raptors. Today, John is presenting his second speech, and then you introduce John and his speech, and then also the speech evaluator. So the reason why I do this, so every child or every student has a chance to do a speaking role, because you're going to get somebody who sits back and doesn't want to be noticed. And I push it. And the other thing that I do is, and sometimes I'm a little bugger on this, is when I do my first meeting, I do a great introduction of the program. I get them involved. I hand out a get to know me chart, and it has questions. Who has brown eyes? Find a student who is born in a different country, and they walk around the room and they get their names and they get signed. Whoever reaches bingo first gets a prize. And believe me, they really get interactive and they get action into it. The other thing that I do is when I introduce the program, I right away get them start talking, and I do a couple of things. The first time I handed out a roll of toilet paper, I said, take as much toilet paper you think you're going to need. You're going to get a kid that's going to wrap his hand around the toilet paper because he thinks he needs that much toilet paper. Then you're going to get a kid who's going to take 2 or 3 little slabs. And I stand there and I says, now for every piece of toilet paper you tear, say something about yourself. And there was this one kid said, Miss, I have 15 squares. You got to give me 15 bits of information. Now go. And he does it. And then I say, congratulations, you just did your icebreaker speech. And as soon as I do that, everybody starts getting involved. They all want to do it. And the other thing too is I hand out jelly beans in a bowl with a spoon and hand out Kleenex. Take as much candy as you want, but you're not allowed to eat it. They take what they want, and then I say, whoever has green or whatever, it's up to you, what the color or how many jelly beans you have. For every jelly bean you have to say something about yourself. Whatever you can't say, I take away and throw in the garbage. And believe me, they do it. And that's how they do their icebreaker. That's how I get them going and get them involved in the meeting and do everything together. And also, it depends on your group, what you have. There are some kids who have a struggle in speaking. Like this last group I had, I always say the criteria, what I do is I give out the rules first. My sessions are 9 weeks. And the reason why I have 9 weeks is because the last week is the speech the 8th week is the speech contest. The 9th week is a murder mystery and graduation. And they want to perform that. It's part impromptu, part prepared. What I do is it's 9 weeks. I tell them this program is 9 weeks long. You're only allowed to miss 1 class. If you miss more than 1 class, you better give me a good excuse. And the other thing too is you have to provide me 2 speeches, your icebreaker and a prepared speech. And if I come up and say, okay, Guan, you are the Toastmaster for this meeting. Next meeting, you'll be the general evaluator. And the reason why is those are the 2 roles nobody wants to do. And at the end of the meeting, at the end of the session, I hand out an extra certificate. And whatever role you did, you get a star. For Toastmaster, counter, whatever, you get a little star. And I had students who came up and said, Miss, I did my 2 speeches. Can I do a 3rd speech? Can I do a 4th speech? Then I start, the old CC manuals, how to organize your speech, how to use body language or whatever. I start introducing that. And that's how they get started. And they get involved in doing their speeches. The only thing is, it depends on the group. Sometimes giving evaluations goes great. Sometimes it doesn't. And I have a PowerPoint presentation that I always show, do the sandwich effect. What I saw, what I heard, and what I felt. Give out 3 or 4 positive things about the speech and 1 or 2 suggestions to improve. And the other thing that I do is I set up, and you know how they say do a parliamentary procedure vote or whatever process? I designed a contract and the students helped develop it. And in the contract, it says, remember how we become Toastmasters, you do the Toastmaster promise? It's something like this, and they have to sign it. In all the 18 years that I did this program, only once did I have a student that was disrespectful to me and to my students. And I whipped out the contract and said, your name is on the contract. You just broke the rule number 3 and you were disrespectful to me and to the students. We have the right to vote you out. Well, that kid went into panic mode And I said to him, now you have to tell us why we should keep you in the group and why we should give you a second chance. You know, he did a very powerful 3-minute impromptu speech why we should keep him in. And you know what? I hate to say this, but he was one of my best students. He stayed with me for 3.5 years. And you know where he is today? He is actually graduated from I forget, I think it's from McNeil, a university in Ottawa. He works for the Prime Minister. He's one of the speechwriters for Justin Trudeau.
What a story.
You know, so I still keep in contact with my students after 18 years. And when you move along in the process and they keep coming back, I've had students who came to me and said, Miss, I know we have to do speeches and that, but I'm applying for a job. Can you show me how to do a job interview? That was a twist in the program for me. And here I am showing them how to do a resume, a 16-year-old, and what kind of questions. And we did mock interviews. And a lot of my students got their jobs that way. So, you know, if they're successful, that means you are successful in what you do. So what I do,
absolutely,
take the program and reconfigure it to according to what the students want and need. And believe you me, a lot of people think, oh, impromptu speaking. When you go into a job interview and they ask you, give me 3 reasons why I should hire you, you can't say, I have to think about it first. You have to be right there and think about it. And one of my students says, they'll never ask that question. I says, really? And he went for a job interview and he says, Miss, you know, they asked me that question.
So, I mean, I couldn't do a better convincing job than by far than Mary has done. So if you had any doubt in your mind that you're equipped and capable to deliver this program yourself, I think, you know, Mary's experience and the fact that it is a flexible program and you make it really what you think the kids need, right? And you always have us, you always have a team of experienced, you know, people with a lot of experience like Mary and some experience like myself, and some between like Elton, for example. So right now I'll spend maybe 1 minute or two to ask anyone else. I think Elton, you have delivered this program too. Do you have anything else that you'd like to add in terms of experience from the trenches?
Yes, and the only thing that I have to mention is the fact that it has to be fun. Whatever you're going to do, it has to be fun. It has to be where they're having a good time, and it has to move quick. If any part of the program happens to sag a bit, they'll start looking up at the ceiling. That's my experience out of all of this. And you can come up with your own, as you can see Mary certainly has, and come up with your own way of grabbing their attention and not letting it go. And that's the purpose. If you're able to do that, then the 8 weeks are going to fly by, and they're going to come back asking for more.
Yeah.
So keep it fun and keep it tight, Elton.
Yeah.
So that's a couple of great points there. And Mary, so you mentioned that you have developed some of your own material. Are you comfortable sharing that, or have you put it up on any website or anything, or is that?
No, I haven't shared it. Let me see if I can get in access and I'll see what I could do. Hold on.
No, I would suggest Mary to write some blog and paste in the District 60 blog section. I think they have a fantastic experience and some creativities.
Yeah. Good point. In the meantime, Mary's doing that. So the one thing on my slide here that I'd like to speak a little bit about is that Kahoot program that I mentioned earlier. And as Mary mentioned, you can be innovative with this and try out your own things. Now, many high school students, students are familiar with Kahoot, it's a, as I mentioned, it's a game-based program. It's free, and you create your own questions, and the kids can create their own questions. And so I had them create questions based on the previous week's work, and they play a game, and they love to try to beat each other. And
Yeah.
so as a competitive thing, they're learning at the same time, having fun, and they're going, yeah, yeah, look, I trashed you, or this group trashed that group, and so on and so forth.
If
So
you
it's sorry.
If you want, I can share the screen. So
Okay, so give me a minute. Let me just finish up this last couple of slides here, and then we can do that. All right. So the one I want to make a clarification, because there was a recent confusion between the Youth Leadership Program and Toastmasters Interpersonal Communication Program for Youths. And so the youth leadership, the main difference is that the youth leadership program is delivered by a Toastmaster. It's an official Toastmaster sanctioned program. The interpersonal communication program is and I haven't seen the manual for it. It's made up of a bunch of modules, and that could be purchased by any individual, business, community group, anyone who is interested in delivering that program, and they deliver it themselves. So there's no particular framework or control that you have to abide by. If you're delivering that program, you can choose one module or all of the modules, or specific things to complement what you're trying to do. So I just wanted to make that clear. The key thing is that my last point there from Toastmasters International speaks to that difference between the two programs. Youths should focus on interpersonal communication before they tackle the challenges of public speaking. And so this is more internally focused. And someone told me that they talk about, personality types and so on, trying to figure out what your communication style is before you start dealing with, start learning more about public speaking and so on. So just wanted to put that out there, just because there was a recent confusion about the two programs, and perhaps, maybe one might be more appropriate or more relevant in a certain situation than the other. All right, so bringing this all to a close, back with my favorite, I can't stress this quote, I love it so much, I'm gonna say it twice. The last word in my favorite quote is give. This is all about giving. This is a season of giving, right? We're giving youths our experience, we're giving them our time, we're giving them our knowledge, we're giving them our love of Toastmasters. And maybe some of you are organized enough to be thinking about your goals for next year, and perhaps volunteering or giving back is part of those goals, or could be. And perhaps, delivering a youth leadership program could fit and help you meet that objective of giving back to the community, giving back to the Toastmaster organization, giving back to youths. So just wanted to leave you with that. And to summarize then, we've answered a number of questions. The what, now we all know that, the program is an 8-week session, and it's targeted to high school age students. And, each session focus on a different speaking and listening skills, body language, et cetera. And then, the people who benefit and the people who can help to make this successful are, besides the students and the teenage participants, parents, teachers, right? Those are the people who can help us bring the students together, so that we can help to create and run one of these programs. And it's a great way to meaningfully occupy youths they don't have to travel, they're not in school anymore, so they have a little bit more free time on their hands. And then how to start and run a program like this, right? Get the kids together, contact us at District 60. We'll connect you with a Toastmaster who's willing to deliver the program, hopefully one of us on this call, and then we get going. Right? So That's where I'd like to end. And I'm leaving the last slide with a bunch of links and resources that you can take a look at your convenience. So with that, I'd open it up. I know we've had some interaction, but are there any other questions or comments? If not, I'll ask Mary to put up some of her slides so you can see how this program could be customized to fit the audience that you're working with. And in the meantime, you're thinking about your question or comment. I guess, Mary, I need to give you control, or can you just go ahead and share?
No, you need to give me the control to share.
Okay, so Elton, do you have to do that, or?
Yeah, I can do that. Okay, so go ahead, Mary, try now.
Okay. I have asked Jeet if I can do a YLP presentation in January on how I do it. And this is a rough draft of everything. I'm going to talk about the different levels for beginners, level 2 intermediate, and level 3, which I have to correct that word there, and is advanced, and how I use Google Class in with my YLP. And as Jeet said, I believe as a coordinator, if you are committed to do the program and you show pride, enthusiasm, and excitement and believe in the program, believe me, the kids will work with you and they will go along with it because you are their teacher, their mentor, and you want to encourage them and be excited about the program. This is my quote: "Tell me and I will forget. Teach me and I will remember. Involve me and I will learn," by Benjamin Franklin. In every aspect of the program that I do, if I introduce a new workshop or whatever, my workshops are 10 to 15 minutes long. Anything longer than that, like Jeet said, they will start looking at the door and all over the place. They'll get bored to tears. When I do the program, I tell them, this is what you learn in level 1. Overcome nervousness when speaking before an audience, how to write and organize and present your speech, learn effective listening skills and evaluation. You learn how to do body language, impromptu speaking. Most importantly, you learn how to be a leadership and how to run a meeting. Because during the course, when you get higher up in your grades, your teacher is going to ask you to do a presentation. Are you going to go up there and say, hey guys, this is my presentation? You want to look professional and polished. This is how we're going to do it. And I give them that. And also how to give constructive feedback and how to use Google Classroom, which is the best tool I ever discovered. And this was Kahoot that Jeet gave me, and also how to do a speech contest. I tell them the rules, okay? You must attend all 9 sessions. You must prepare 2 speeches, an icebreaker, and a second speech, which is 5 to 7 minutes. And also, if you're inclined to do a third speech, you must take on the role of Toastmaster. The following week, the January evaluator, and you're required to take on any other role, and then evaluate at least 1 speech, and take part in a speech or a table topics contest or both. Now, this is the contract that I designed, that the kids helped me design. And this is the rules, the contract. And then I sign my name on it, and they sign their name on it, and I give them a copy of it. You break the rules, like I told you about that young man who broke the rule and disrespected me and my students. He got told. Believe you me, they follow it through, and they're the first one to tell you if you broke the rule, and they'll point out the rules you've broke. I invite past students to come and tell them about Toastmasters. and what they got out of Toastmasters and what did they achieve out of Toastmasters. And they want to hear from former students. That's what I found out. Former students tell them what they gained out of Toastmasters, what they achieved. Most of my former students are now either adults, young adults, or in university. They come and do that presentation for me. I do what I call the 10 C's, or the 10 commandments in public speaking. Take the challenge, have the courage, be concise, clear, be coordinated, all the C's, and to talk about how they do a speech. And of course, your icebreaker speech, what the icebreaker speech is all about. I give a demonstration. I attended Andrew Merton's workshop, how to do a speech in 20 minutes. Guess what I do? Right after this icebreaker presentation, I tell them, get your papers out. Now we're going to do a speech, write a topic. They do that. We do it in 20 minutes. I do exactly what Andrew did in the workshop. I follow it through. Then I say, who wants to present their speech? And of course, you get one or two people that will go like this. When somebody stands up and he gives the speech and they presented their speech, I said, congratulations, Elton, you did your icebreaker speech. You don't have to do one. You see how fast those hands go up and say, Miss, can I do it? Next. Because they don't want to be
Fantastic. Yeah.
So that's one way of doing it. The other one that I do is, I call this the Toastmasters roles and responsibility, the superheroes of the roles. I take each role like the Toastmaster and describe what their role is. Let's see if I have it here in detail. And
just to interject, Mary, so I have 8 p.m. by my clock here. Just gonna ask anyone if you have to leave. It's fine. The formal session is complete, but if you're welcome to stick around, and Mary's got some a wealth of information here that if you're interested in actually, let me ask you, let me just put this question out here as I have the floor. So hearing and knowing what you know now about the youth leadership program, for those of you who weren't familiar before, would you be considering delivering this program? If you had a group of students, would you consider delivering this program in the near future? And so Guang has put his hand up there. And Pushpa?
Yeah.
All right, so I've got 2 hands went up. I know I've got a few people on who are not on video, but please feel free to raise your hand, or even if you have any question or anything like that, you're welcome. As I mentioned earlier, you're welcome to email myself or Elton, Mary, any one of us, and we'll certainly try to, and John. So I've got a hand, John raised his hand as well. So yeah, please get in touch with us. And at this point, again, you're welcome to stay, and I'll hand it over back to Mary to continue her slideshow.
Before Mary continues, I just want to say that this workshop has been recorded, and we'd like to be able to put this on the District 60 TV channel, which is YouTube. And so it's out there for a lot of people to see who A, weren't able to make it to tonight, and B, individuals who are searching for workshops like this to find out how the program is put together. And if you have any objections, please let me know. If not, it will probably be up on the YouTube channel probably first thing in the morning.
Okay. Thanks, Elton. Thank you for all your help. And back over to Mary.
Okay. Okay, this slide here, where I showed you the different roles, I actually went in and described each role, like, the Toastmaster, what are the superhero powers and the level and everything. and what are the fun facts about the Toastmasters, and what they gain out of it. So each role is given that description. So I, meet the timer. And what are the superpowers? Your weapons are green, yellow, and red flashcards and stopwatch. And what are the requirements for you? So every role has that, and all the way down to whoever. And then of course I challenge them as a Toastmaster, as a speaker, as a table topics master, as a speech evaluator. Are you up for the challenge? And when I do the presentation, I get a lot of students who will volunteer to do it. And what I've done is, well, when we were face to face, I had a jar with all the roles, and you would go up and then you would put your hand in, and you can't give it back. And your student will say, oh, and one kid says, you mean I have to do the Toastmasters job? Can't I do the easy one? And I give them the script. Here's your script. And I tell them, read the script and make it your own. Put your own personality in. And they do. And they're comfortable with it. And you get people who fight over, can I do it next? Do I have to do it this way? They do it their way, and they follow the rules accordingly. And like here, I do the 5 wives and the 1 husband. The 5 wives are the why, when, where, what, and who. And I describe them all the way down and give them the reason. What am I going to talk about? What's my favorite vacation? And when did I take the vacation? Where did I go on vacation? Who were the people that came with me on the vacation? And how did I make all the arrangements? And then what and how? What were the places you visit? How was your experience on your vacation? These are the things we talk about in Toastmasters, the who, the what, the where, and the why, to make sure you do it organized. And I have them do a chart and say, okay, you're going to do a speech. What are you going to talk about when you do this speech? Hold on. I always screw up the share part. Oops, okay, I lost that one. I did something again, ridiculous. Anyways, I tell them, put what topic do you want to talk about? Why do you want to talk about it? When did it take place? Where did it take place? Who was there with you? And why would you want to talk about it? And how was your experience in the whole situation? Once you can answer all those questions, you can put your speech together. And they do that. And I give them a little worksheet with all that there, and to show how to do it. And as I said, all my documents, I created a Google Classroom. And what I did is I invite the students. Everything is in Google Classroom. If they need to look at a PowerPoint presentation that I did, the document is in the Google Classroom for them to look for it. And what I do is I put your roles in, and then I tell you, Elton, you're the Toastmaster next week. Please provide the theme. Jeet, you are the table topics master. Please prepare your table topics. Pushpa, you are the grammarian and word master. Please provide us with the word. And I also tell them, I need your speech titles for your speeches if you're going to do it. And I give them a time limit, because I don't want to be sitting there at 10 minutes before class start, download the agenda again with your speech title. I have a cutoff point. And I say Friday night at 6 o'clock, it's closed down. One kid emailed me and said, Miss, you shut me out too fast. I had 1 minute to go and I was slow. Can you put my speech title in? So, it's that way. And they are very enthusiastic. I never had a kid that said, I don't want to do a speech. They're always up there doing speeches. And this last group I had, I was totally amazed that one student, this is level 1, where they did 4 speeches. I had 15 students. Almost everyone did 3 to 4 speeches. I was floored by that. And then how do I challenge the second level? I just developed something new. I did challenge them to present a mini workshop on anything you want, anything. And I gave them the topics and everything. And I decided, let me do a mini workshop. And I gave them the titles of strange books titles. My last student, he was a hoot. He did a mini workshop that was 10 minutes long, The Art of Farting.
Okay.
And it was so funny and it was fantastic. And he did a great job. He had everybody rolling in the aisles with that speech, that little presentation. And they did very well. You know, they took different topics and everything, and they presented mini workshops. I was totally impressed. And because of that, I had to create a little certificate called a presentation, outstanding mini workshop presented to, you know, whoever. And they did. Out of the 15 students, 9 kids. Yeah, the fart speech was 10 minutes, John.
Wow.
And they did it, you know. And I had one student who is Chinese, who is from Singapore, and he did the history of what was it? The goddess moon and the sun, the two that was husband and wife. He did a perfect little presentation, and he took on the roles himself. And when he dressed himself as a woman with the little wig on, I nearly cracked up. And they did a fantastic job. I let them use their imagination, and it's how you present it and everything. And that's what I'm for. And as Jeet said, let them play games. A couple of times we finished really early, and I let them on the Zoom that I have, and they could play this game. I got involved with the game. It was a mystery game, and they have a great time. I had students from Beijing, Hong Kong, Singapore, 2 from South Korea, and the rest in Toronto. And they all connect and they all stay connected. So they're moving on to level 3, and they're all coming back. So, you know, and they form a bond and they support each other. That's the main thing, that you form a bond with them and they form a bond and a friendship with themselves.
And that is so important at this point in time, and at that point in their life too.
Yeah.
So that's really fantastic.
And the fact that, you know, my students are the ones from Toronto are from diverse backgrounds and ethnic backgrounds. And whereas in China, you only see Asian faces. And then they were amazed and they asked questions, because I have 3 girls, they're all sisters, 2 twins and another one. And they wore the hijab and everything, the questions that they were asked and answered, you know, with the free time, and they answered them and everything, and people got to understand the various customs and that. And one of the girls did a theme called we're different, but we're all the same. You know, like the Tim Hortons commercial, we're all the same snow. So the
Yes.
kids did a presentation that way, and they did a combined presentation, which I was very much impressed with. And it was well done. So if you encourage them, how do I say, build it and they will come. If you do that, they will be there and they'll come and they will take part in it.
Absolutely. They're like, you know, the youths are like plants. All they need is a little bit of nurturing, and they will bloom.
Yeah. And I have one student, he was with me in level 1. To get him to do 2 speeches was like pulling teeth. To get him to do a role, he did the grammar, no, he did the inspirational quote. That was it. He was in level 2. I got really excited when he did 2 speeches and he took on the role of the timer and he did table topics. Like, you know, and he's finally coming out of that, little shell, that shyness. So by the time he's finished, and I hope in level 3, he will be more outgoing.
And that's always been something that amazed me at Toastmasters, and you get to see that at a more profound level with the young people, is you're able to watch people grow. New people join your club and you watch them being so shy starting out, and then you can see, incrementally how they improve. And no different with the youths. Every time they speak, every time they do a speech, every time they do an evaluation, you can see how much more comfortable, how much more confidence, how they're learning. They don't get to see that. You get to
No.
see that.
And the other thing too, where is it here? I'll share this here. This is a certificate that I designed, and you can see, here's your name, and here is all the roles. And I have 3 speeches in here. And every time they do a speech, I put a little sticker, I put a little emoji or whatever there to show the thing. And the first time they got it, and I always put down here when they completed level 1 or whatever. And when they get this, they look at it, and the kids in level 1 saw, oh, I only have 4 stickers. Oh, how come? And when they go into the second level, they go, oh, I almost filled all the roles. And when they do level 5, they really filled all the roles. So they look at this stuff and they see it, and they thought, oh, I did the grammarian role and I got a sticker, a trophy, or whatever little emoji that I put there for everything they do. And that encourages them to go and do it more often and take on roles. So it's an encouragement and an incentive.
Yeah, absolutely. And they love that. They love those kinds of recognitions.
And if they take part in the speech contest, I actually do print off the speech contest certificates. And unfortunately, I can't print off the ribbon that I have 1st place, 2nd place, and 3rd place. But I did something different, and I gave them like a emoji that I put on the certificate, and they got it, via email and everything. The only thing that I can't do, and I don't know how to do it, is this certificate here, how to put it in, the one from the program, how
Yeah.
to print it off instead of having to mail it to them.
Okay, I can probably help you with that. You and I will connect. I'll my now 14-year-old showed me how to do it.
Okay, then she can teach me.
All right. Any question or anything for myself or Mary or Elton? Any general comments or anything like that? I noticed a few people have jumped off, and one person has jumped on. Glynis, you're still there with us? But anyhow, if there, yeah, Pushpa, you have your hand up.
Yeah, I really, really enjoyed today. The presentation by you, Elton, and Mary. Mary was just incredible. I'm very glad I came, and you guys really inspired me to do something, give back to the community. That's what I believe. Thank you very much. Mary, I just had one question for you. When you have all these grades, grade 1, 2 to 5, are they all in the same class, or you have to separate them, or how do you work on that?
When I did the how do I say, the advertisement, sent out the flyer, I sent it out to various groups, and I specified in the flyer the age group. I said students from grade 9 to grade 7 to grade 12. And the first time I did it, right away I started off with 10 students. And then all of a sudden I had a student that said, I have a cousin that would like to join. I says, okay. And she's in grade 11. I said, send me her email. And that's how it expanded to going to China. I didn't know they were from China, my other students. And what happened is one day the kid my class starts at 2 o'clock in the afternoon on a Saturday. And the young lady was doing a speech, and I said to her, Vivian, why are you always in your bed in your bedroom? And she says, Miss, it's 1 o'clock in the morning in China.
So, Pushpa, were you asking about the different levels of instruction that Mary has, or were you asking about grade level in school?
The grade levels.
Oh, the grade levels.
The level
Okay.
1, 2, like, I didn't know that she had separate classes for all of them. I thought they were all in the same class from age, what did you say, age up to 17,
Yeah.
13 to 17, right?
Yeah, the reason why I split it up into different levels is because I had kids coming back.
Okay.
And what happened was when I did the program the first time and I advertised, for the next session, and I was mostly at the North York Library. In the North York Library, I did fall, winter, and spring sessions. I did 3 sessions. And what happened was the same kids came back. And I says, you completed? He says, no, we want to know more. There's more to than what we learned. So I had to rethink the program and reconfigure it. So what I did was, that's when I just started to develop levels 1, 2, and 3, because the same students kept coming back. They wanted to be challenged. They wanted to do more than just present a speech. They also wanted to know how to do a presentation when they have to do a school project and they have to present it in front of the class. That was their concerns. And when the kids got into level 3 and they were going for their first summer jobs, right away they asked, can you check my resume? And when I looked at the first time I saw a resume, I said to the student, if you hand in this resume, no one's going to take you seriously, let alone hire you. We have to sit down and work out a professional resume. And I had to teach them how to answer questions. I presented the questions, and you cannot sit there and say, oh, wait a minute, I have to think about my answer. That's where impromptu comes. So when your boss says to you, give me 3 reasons why I should hire you, you can't say because I'm good looking and charming. That may work, but not to 100%.
And
Exactly.
play video games all night. That doesn't cut it.
Yeah.
I just have one more question for Mary. Mary, when all these kids, when they grow up and go to work or university, do you encourage them to join Toastmasters clubs?
I'm very happy to say in the 18 years that I've done this program, former students of mine, the first year I taught this, went to UFT, and they started, 3 of my former students started a Toastmasters at UFT called UTEC for engineering. They started that club. Also, one of my students started one in Waterloo, and another one started it in York University. And a lot of them as adults, right now, if I'm going to age myself, the oldest one is 31 years old. He came to me when he was 14, and he is in Toastmasters in Ottawa.
That's fantastic.
So a lot of my students are in Toastmasters, and they're encouraged to go and do it. And he actually contacted me last year. He wants to start the youth program in Ottawa. So I've been coaching him on that too.
Full circle. That's amazing. Yeah. That's amazing.
And I have all their contact information. I've been to I went to 2 of my former students' weddings, and and attended their graduations and everything. I get invited, so I keep in contact.
Very good.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
All right. Well, and any other question, comment? Going once? Going twice? All right. Well, with that, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to, first of all, thank, what's the old saying? It's probably not politically correct anymore, but no man is an island. And, or maybe more politically correct, it takes a village. And
Yes.
in tonight's session, it certainly was. My right-hand man, my friend, and coach throughout this my journey as youth leadership program chair, Elton Brown. And he's supported me a lot before now. Tonight he's here with me, and I expect that he will be here, supporting me for the rest of my tenure in this role. So thank you, Elton. Thank you, Mary, for supporting us, attending, and sharing your insights. Such passion is rare. So I just feel honored that you're able to share your insights with us. I look forward to your presentation in January.
Yep.
And to you, all of our attendees, I know Anita, who is part of our executive team at District 60, and Chris Nelson, who couldn't make it tonight, but they've supported. This team has been very close-knit, and we support each other quite a bit. So thanks to them, and thanks to you guys. Without the attendees, this wouldn't be possible. Thank you for your insightful and thoughtful questions and comments. And with that, I'd like to bring this meeting to a close. Have a great rest of the evening. You know where to find us. You look at the last slide for our contact information. Drop me an email with any question, comment you have. And good night and best wishes.
Okay. And happy holidays.
Guang has his hand up.
Are you going to send the slide to us?
And so Elton is making a recording of this entire session that's going to be on the D60 YouTube channel as of tomorrow. Correct, Elton?
Yes, that is correct.
So
are you going to send the slide to us so you can have this reference handy?
Would you like? Yeah, I can. Yeah, I can send you a copy of the slide deck too.
Okay,
no problem with that.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. I want to pass my thanks to Jeet, to Ayrton, to Mary. That's very educational. I learned a lot tonight. Thank you all very much.
Okay, very good.
Take care. And thanks for having me. Okay, everyone have a good, safe holiday, and
Merry Christmas.
Have a nice holiday.
Happy holidays. Take care.
Happy holidays.
Okay. Happy holidays, guys. Good night.
Bye.
Bye-bye.